Getting ready for Game 6 on the Real Kyper and Bourne Show. This is the Leaf Hour edition of our program. We are live on Sportsnet 590 The Fan, Sportsnet 360, and Sportsnet Plus. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee, Derek Brandeo, Jake the Snake Schultz. All right, game day. We had a show yesterday that reflected a lot on what happened in Game 5, moving towards Game 6. We'll get into Game 6 a little bit more, but I just want to start off the show by asking you guys in the last 24 hours, the temperature out there, and is it much different than what Leaf Nation has gone through over the years? Was there much different from the two losses against Ottawa in the first round? And where's the comparison to what you felt or seen in the last little while here?
You know, it's actually been funny, Kip. Like the Leafs fans I've talked to, and I'm talking about true Leafs fans who've been a part of this roller coaster over the years, almost to a man think they're going to win tonight. Wow. Like every person I talk to, and part of it is a joke, like, oh, I think they're gonna get it tonight, and then they're gonna pull the rug out from under us again in Game 7.
I know I've talked to a few of those people, not as many as you have, but there's some sort of feel like it would be very Leafy,
yes,
of this club to win because no one expects them to.
They haven't hurt the fans enough yet, or like they haven't achieved maximum pain by just going out tonight in Game 6.
Sammy's chomping over there.
No,
right. So Sammy,
I'm not chomping. I would prefer to just be in a dark room and start the game.
Okay. Before
you're not. So
here we go.
What have you heard from and watched either through various shows or the internet on where Leaf Nation is compared to years past? Same, different?
Quite frankly, Kip,
is it?
I haven't really been talking
a
ton of Leafs. Like I over the past 24 hours or 48 hours, whenever that game, I've basically been talking to like the very close inner Leaf fan circles in my life and people professionally. Yeah. And outside of that, I haven't been doing a ton of Leafs.
Is it because
you're out of the mud?
It's all encompassing.
Is it because this one hurt a little bit more than others?
So I don't want to start on a negative
note. No, I just want to get your feel.
The difference with this one is the Marner stuff with him leaving, and the reports are flying out here about all this stuff. And so I think a lot of Leaf fans, myself included, are sort of coming to grips with the most hope that they've had for an era of hockey since I don't know when, the early 2000s or whatever it is, that it's not going to work. That like what you've had so much, like I was watching today a clip of Austin Matthews' first playoff goal. It was in 2017 against the Washington Capitals. I cannot tell you how fast that went. I cannot tell you how not long ago that seems. And now we're here with 2 series wins in their franchise since those guys have come here. And I think a lot of Leaf fans are just starting to realize that it's kind of, as we know it, over unless they win 2 in a row against the best team in the league.
In the Mighty Ducks script here, this is exactly what happens before they pull it back from the brink. And they get the best out of these guys and they white knight it through the finish line. And, but in reality,
I want to believe that's
3-2, and that's the end.
There's still a chance here.
Yes,
but do you know
for sure there is. I'm a believer that there is.
Do you think?
But do you know what I'm saying?
Do you think they're believers in the room? Because I don't know how. And we've heard them talk about noise. We've heard the reference to the noise. There's no way that they avoided the noise.
Can't avoid the noise.
Is there? Can't avoid the noise?
Unless it was through your phone in the lake.
So are they going in there tonight saying, we know we represent a city that has already quit on us?
I don't know. I don't know. Is that you're not?
I'm just asking.
You're not giving them a pass.
I'm asking you.
If that's the case, are you?
Have they?
I don't think the city's
majority?
quit on him. I don't think so at all. I talked to my neighbor today walking to school. He went and bought 2 Leaf jerseys yesterday.
Okay. All right. I'm asking.
Yeah.
I'm not insinuating they've quit.
Yeah.
Everybody's quit. A lot of people have quit.
A lot of people
have
I think
quit.
people view this team.
I just don't know if the players would feel like the whole town's now quit on them or just they know that
who
it's
cares?
only just
you
us.
know, who cares? Who cares? You're the hockey players.
It depends on if it motivates you or you go in there tonight and feeling like if they've quit, then what's there to play for?
Well, you're a professional, and there's to play for your pride, your career, your
Okay.
money, your everything.
Okay.
You know, it's
Yeah, and we kind of talked about that before Game 5.
for sure. It hasn't been there. I'm not saying they're. I'm just saying I'm not willing. It felt sorry. It felt to me like you're trying to be like, well, why would they even care today? The fans
No. I've been a professional athlete.
Yeah.
I know, like, and I don't buy into like they don't care, they don't quit. They're still a little lost on how to show it.
Yeah, they should be riddled with doubt. You know, they should be riddled with questions about the team. They've been doing this for years. But, you know, the reality is these teams are not 6-1 games. You know, Florida's not 5 goals better than the Leafs. I think you're going to see a hockey game tonight. What I was starting to say, and I think I may have used the metaphor, I think fans view this team as a Kentucky Derby horse with a broken leg. And they just want this thing over with. They just, if you're going to lose, just lose.
No, not just lose and then shoot the horse.
Put a bullet in the horse and let's be done with it. I don't think anyone wants to go into Game 7. Then you're going to get more doubters. Then you're going to get every Leaf fan say, there's no way they actually pull it through.
I sent out a poll today just to get a temperature check, asking simply if you have any hope left. Do you have any hope left?
I didn't see it. And
there was almost, there's 18 hours left in the poll. I should have done it shorter because I don't think they're going to be voting after the game tonight, but maybe they will. There's 1,600 votes on it. 56% of people say no. 43% of people say they do have hope left. So
43%.
There
was people chanting Leafs in 7.
Yes, and those are probably the people that voted yes on my poll.
Those are true fans.
If I can present a Leaf fan, not win-win because it's not win-win, but like a sense of calm heading into tonight. There's 2 outcomes here. You have a miraculous comeback where you win 2 games against the best team in the league, maybe. 1 there, 1 on home in Game 7, exercise demons, and you're in the conference final with a real shot of going to the final, okay? That is one outcome. The more likely outcome is you lose. You lose one of these next 2 games, and you go into the offseason, and so many fans that have wanted so much change and all this different stuff, you're going to get your wish. So it's kind of, for a lot of fans, a win-win situation. Like, you can go into this game knowing that if you hate the way they look, it's going to be over if they lose. And if you love this team and they win, well, they're in the conference final and you have some excitement. Like, I do think there's a sense of freedom going into tonight. I do.
That's interesting. The Luke Fox also has a poll. What's the field today? And he has Panthers in 6, Leafs in 7, Panthers in 7 as options. Love this. Maple Leafs in 7 is 50.7%.
No way.
So
he's got different followers than me.
He's got Leaf fan followers. Half of Leaf fans, according to him, believe they'll win the series.
I have it more 60-40 for the fan base.
Do you know what the betting odds are? The betting odds give the Leafs a 18% chance of winning the series. 15% the other place I saw.
Yeah.
That's higher than I would even think.
You would think, really? Yeah.
So you're saying there's a chance.
They're saying there's a chance. All right,
1 in 5, 1 in 5 and change.
We know where you guys are in terms of the team's mentality. Where does the head coach have his teams?
Let's play it.
Clip 1.
Clip 1, please.
Well, Game 5's over. So that's over with. Excited, ready to go. Go play.
Game 5 is over.
Sure is. Should we talk about the lineup?
I get the sense.
We did talk about the lineup yesterday. We said he's going to go down with the ship.
Before we move to that,
can
I ask you?
Yeah.
Like that Game 5 result and I'll ask you, just get the sense from that clip, that the result and the backlash to that, it feels like it genuinely caught him off guard with that clip to me. Like,
Sorry, there's backlash to that?
no, like just him talking.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, game 5. Can you play it again, Derek? Clip 1.
Well, game 5's over. So that's over with. Excited, ready to go. Go play.
He understands this market. I get it. But, like, even him, maybe, after what happened after that game 5 and the way people talked about it, myself included, I think that maybe caught him off guard. Do you get that sense in that clip?
Yeah, maybe. You know,
I don't think he gets caught off guard.
Okay.
I just think he just dictates whatever he wants to dictate. And I'm not getting caught up in all of that. I don't need to explain anything. As far as he's concerned, he's moving on, and he can only control what he can control.
Yep. Fair enough.
you know, I'm going to say something here that's going to sound positive to the point where you guys are going to hate me. But the last time the Florida Panthers lost a game 5-1 or 6-1 like the Leafs, Stanley Cup final, they lost 5-1 to the Oilers. 2 games prior to that, they lost 8-1 to the Oilers. In the series, they lost 5-1 and 8-1. In the Stanley Cup final last year.
Was it game 6 they lost?
In
8-1?
Edmonton.
They lost game 4 8-1 and game 6 5-1.
Oh, okay. I thought it was flipped.
Yeah.
Boys, good teams lose games badly. And I'm not saying we overreacted to last game. I am saying that this is not what I said initially. I don't think these teams are miles apart. Last game was terrible for the Leafs in every conceivable way. It's not going to be 6-1 tonight. And if it is, I will have a lot to say. Emotional damage.
Yeah, that's for sure.
They've got some weapons still. Say what you will about Game 5. Willie could find a way to make a couple of big plays. Austin and Mitch are still there. They didn't
become bad players.
Well, they didn't lose their talent
Right.
in 48 hours.
You know, a
And
bounce, an opening, a seam.
Joseph
they can do
Wall, those are the things that you got to consider. It's sport.
Joseph Wall, yeah.
Joseph Wall.
Yeah, like Joseph Wall to me, if he's good tonight,
Right.
Bob can have bad nights. We saw him in the first couple games, first 3 games. What did he give up? 10 goals or something? Like it can happen.
Okay, let's go to Craig Berube on the lineup changes. We spoke of him momentarily, but let's get deeper thoughts on new, old faces coming back. Or is it old, new?
I liked our game with the other guys in the lineup. I made changes. We lost a couple, added some fresh guys, some fresh legs. Other guys are rested, ready to go, and we played good hockey with that lineup we have tonight.
I mean, he's not wrong. Old Nicky Robertson comes in, gets his G note back in the press box for popcorn.
Yeah, I don't think. Here's what the key is. It's probably tonight. If I had to write a game story pregame, it's not going to come down to Pontus Holmberg and Kalle Järnkrok.
No,
Is that a fair statement?
very fair.
So
He did put him back with Holmberg, back with Tavares and Nylander, and that line was actually very complete. They weren't as good offensively, but they've been complete when they're together.
and he can't control the matchup, so he probably wants a more defensive mind on that line.
Yeah.
Kyper?
I know what you're trying to say with it's not going to come down to that. We know, of course, what you are insinuating. The big boys need to be the big boys. But if they happen to be on the wrong side tonight, then it does have something to do with it. And I've stayed consistent. The one thing that I know I've stayed consistent is my look at the left side all season long. And I know that Matthew Nyes is going to be a terrific hockey player and a power forward and all of that. But I still look at Matthew Nyes and he's not ready yet. Like he's not peak Matthew Nyes. No. And it's very difficult right now still in a development process to ask him to be a star left winger on a Stanley Cup team. And this is where it gets really disappointing for me that you need now to come back to Pontus Holmberg and start him in a top 6 position on the left side. And then I don't know where you go from there. Lorenz and McMahon's been a major disappointment.
Yeah.
So I look at that left side tonight, and I'm like, eesh.
Kipper,
It
this
is
hasn't been
disappointing.
this hasn't been your take for this year.
No,
This is since we started our show up in the old studio on YouTube.
Yeah.
This has been your take. This is not a new thing for the Leafs. Sorry.
So that's
no.
and that's where you can look back and say, you guys kind of left it a little exposed there. You took your chances on McMahon, and I get it. I liked him. I saw the potential coming in to be a 25-goal scorer, heavy. There's times when he was physical. You drive to the net. You take one guy on his back with him. And now there's just nothing there.
Bobby McMahon looks good. Bobby McMahon looks like, one of the 30 best offensive players in the league. When he's like flying and scoring and running into people, you're like, my God. We talked about how much, more money he could have earned. And all of a sudden it's just.
Can he give the Leaf fans
Give him
a game tonight?
I thought for sure. And, he has had a few recently where he's streaking down and trying to take it to the net. I will say you can see him trying.
His last goal was against the Philadelphia Flyers on March 25th.
Jeez, man.
Yeah, that's a long time.
That's
Yeah.
It's now May.
All right. Well, that's just that's the only thing is Holmberg's going to come in, and he will be bigger and heavier than Nick Robertson.
Yeah, and on the other hand, left wing on the top line for the Florida Panthers last game was Boqvist, Jesper Boqvist. You know,
but he scored a big goal.
Yeah, but there are going to be soft spots in lineups, and could one of these guys do something like that?
And to be fair to Matthew Nyes, a lot of these games for me, he's been the most noticeable of the three. And he gets into the forecheck, and he goes to the front of the net, and he's good in the power play. Like, I don't think the least of my worries about the Toronto Maple Leafs is Matthew Nyes too. Yeah. Like, have you not liked his game, Kipper? As a top line left winger, like I think he's been pretty good in the playoffs.
Yeah, but I think he's going to get so much better in a few years.
Yeah, but it's not a few years. Like I think he's giving them enough for a top line player to me.
No, not for me.
Okay.
Not for me. And I'm not talking about the heavy forechecking, and I'm not talking about standing in front of the net and whacking one in. I'm just talking about overall poise and confidence to hold on to a puck and make better plays, better passes. Matthews, Marner, looking more like a number one line. Matthews isn't doing it, Marner's not doing it, and Nyes is not doing it for me in terms of looking like a number one line for me.
So then that kind of brings us to our next thing here is that they didn't switch it up.
Mm-hmm.
So
I would like to hear Berube on clip 4 on not splitting up Matthews and Marner.
It's always a consideration. I think, I've split them up this year at times, and I never felt that it really did anything, to be honest with you. These guys have been a combo for a long time, and they've had a lot of success. I mean, so I trust them. I trust in them. I believe in them.
This is the part, again, where I want 82 games in a regular season to have different looks just in case I need them in the Stanley Cup playoffs.
We've been all over that.
I don't know if it's 10 days or 2 weeks, but at some point, like, move it around. Keep these guys guessing a little bit. Make somebody bench somebody. Give somebody a healthy scratch. Move someone up in the lineup for a game or two and give them. It was just way too predictable all season long for me.
So I was looking for this, and I just found this article from Jonas Siegel in The Athletic, and he writes about Matthews and Marner together. And what Berube just say? He said that they've been a good combo for years or whatever. Here are the number of assists for Marner on Matthews' 5-on-5 goals in the past 6 postseasons, including this one: 0, 1, 1, 2, 0, 1.
Really?
So you have no Marner to Matthews connections in the playoffs. And now Matthews hasn't scored many goals in the playoffs, so that's part of it.
Yeah.
But like this, my point, guys.
But then if you did it during the regular season, it'd probably be as high as any pair.
For sure.
Right?
For sure. But
And that's what he's going by, the regular season.
And my point is he shouldn't be. There's enough sample in the playoffs to go. There's no reason to believe that this duo is unbreakable. We have to play these two together. So to your point, I would have liked to have seen some more combinations throughout the year to have something else to go to. We know he doesn't like Nylander with Matthews. Well, now what? Kind of feel like you run out of options.
And I know he's probably the only one he's really, truly that I've seen anyways, double shift is Nylander on occasion. And even to have, I don't know why he wouldn't do it for Matthews or Marner, but it's just Willie.
I see your point.
In my point.
If you need to slip Mitch out there.
I'm watching Peter DeBoer with Rantanen, and he's got Rantanen out there, of course, with his number one line with Rupe Hintz, but then he'll drop Rantanen down and he'll give him 5 or 6 minutes.
Because Rantanen is unbelievable.
He'll give it to he'll move him with Steele on the fourth line.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like
no one goes to prison. They just it's okay.
But go to your horses, and he never did it at any point at all where it's like just get some different looks here. You may need them, and he's not. He's no different than Sheldon. It's like I got two choices, right? Matthews and Marner's together, or Tavares with Marner.
What's funny is Sheldon used to take those two pairs, set them aside, and put the rest in a blender. But Berube's just kind of likes it the way it is. This is what we trust, what we believe in, and off we go.
It's just something that we haven't really looked at much.
Why?
Are you and Derek on good drop-in?
Big hug after the show.
Big hug.
Told him I loved them. We worked together for almost 12 years now.
Yes.
He knows I love him.
Yes.
Why do you think that? Do you think it's the penalty kill stuff where it's like they already carry
That's a
such a
good
heavy
point.
load? Like, what is it? Is that the reason? Like, that you can't stick them out there with Lorentz and Lawton for a shift?
It is a reason, though, to keep them together as a pair because you do PK them and you don't want to get your lines all mumbo-jumboed. But then you don't have to PK them as a pair either.
No, but you do now because you took Kampf back out. So
Yeah.
you do.
Boy, Kampf, tough. If this is how his season ends,
Yeah.
tough going into next year.
All right, you guys want to get a thought from Berube on the bottom 6?
Yes, I do.
And then let's do goaltending before we.
All right,
Let's
Clip.
Yeah, well, no, we did get contributions last series a little bit from them, and we got a goal from Max Domi this series. Yeah, we do need them to chip in if it's that's important for sure, and it's not like they're not trying to score. They just got to keep doing what they're doing, and see what happens. With goals, but you're right, we do need contributions from everybody.
Tough when you watch Florida get goals last game from Boqvist, Greer, Gadjevich. I don't think it wasn't him.
Every
defenseman, Mikkola.
Yeah. Mikko Nikola. Mikko
Mikko Makala. Pretty darn good.
Yeah.
And I think that's the true test of having like real depth is when guys can come in and find a way to contribute here. And Robertson, we had written off in November, December. He stuck around enough to play 70 games, put him in once, and going right back. And it's
not like he had a good game.
But he
I know,
scored.
But my point is, did they have enough depth to really start this thing when you look at it?
I think so. 14 guys. You could use one more high-end guy, right? One more.
Just to slot everybody better.
They turn Lawton into, take your pick of guys who are available at the deadline, I guess.
But not to
Brock
go,
Nelson.
not to zoom out
Not
too
that he
much.
scored in playoffs.
Not to zoom out too much here, fellas, but this is the flaw.
Mhm.
Where
They don't have enough money to spend on anyone else, and
you pay 4 guys a lot of the money. You need those guys. Like, we've had this conversation a million times.
I
but
know.
It just feels like kind of Groundhog Day, blaming the severely underpaid, underutilized bottom 6 for lack of production when it's the top guys that have a lack of production.
You know what kills me about the whole thing, though, is like when Dubas gave those guys the initial contracts, the idea was like, as the cap goes up, they're going to be in a good spot. obviously the pandemic, cap didn't go up, yada, yada. And now that we're on the cusp of the end of the Core 4 era, the cap's about to go,
Yeah, good timing.
you know?
Very
And
leafy.
it's like, yeah, and then it's going to be, well, we just don't have enough elite guys. We can't, you know.
Ugh. Did you see Kyper? Just win a couple games here, boys.
Win just tonight.
Win just tonight?
Just focus on just getting through tonight.
Do you want Maurice on game 6 or do you want to talk Joe Wool?
Let's talk Joe Wall, and then we'll play the one clip from Maurice.
Okay. I said yesterday, very disappointed in terms of Joseph Wall's overall look coming in relief on Stolarz. I expected better. I didn't get it.
Mm-hmm.
The Leaf fans didn't get it. But he is a talented goalie.
Yeah.
Like his forwards.
Yes.
As long as there's a game, you wait for it again.
Yeah, he's certainly capable of having a good one. With the goaltending, there's nothing to do or say. You defend in front of him the best way you can, which let's not forget, that's supposed to be the strength of this group is limiting high danger chances. And you just go, hope he's good tonight. That, by the way, is like the one thing that could pull the rug out on my thought that they'll win tonight. Is like if Wool's bad, he has to be good or there's no chance.
I don't think that's any different for anyone else out
Great
there,
point.
and including Bobrovsky, who the first 2 games was as leaky as anything we've ever seen in his prior years in Columbus. But he shut he shut it down.
Yeah.
You get the feeling that you're going to need early a couple, because they're going to come out on fire. Their building will be on fire.
The Leafs to come out on fire.
I don't know. I have no idea. That's the thing where I've just gotten to the point where I really don't know what this game's going to look like at all. And then you could convince me of a lot of different outcomes, but it's very unpredictable to me tonight.
I think Florida, for the Leafs to win tonight, Florida's kind of got to look like the first 2 games in this series.
How hurt do you think the Leafs are? I mean, I know everyone's hurt at this time of year. Like, it feels like they're pretty healthy.
I mentioned Chris Tanev yesterday, and I don't know what the count total on hits on him, but it was like
too many.
Almost 50% more than the second guy in the playoffs. He got hit, like he's been hit 80 times, and the second guy was like at 40, I don't know what.
I just saw 2 years of Mike Babcock coaching in Toronto, and all he wanted to do was hold up the forecheck, interference, slow down the forecheckers. You know, they're all penalties. But, like, is no one holding anyone up? Like, it's just a complete highway to Chris Tanev's shoulders?
But
You look at the Panthers.
they're not even paying a toll.
This isn't the 407, maybe.
No, it's not the 407.
Well, it's not the 401 that wouldn't be moving quickly either, so I don't know what it is. But, like, the Panthers are so good at that when you try to dump and chase on them. Somebody's always got an arm out. Somebody's always leaning in your way. Like,
Totally agree.
It's really hard to get a
in on the
clean
forecheck.
forecheck against them.
And it was early in game 5. And a lot of the times this year, we know that the Leafs like to work below the goal line and find that little outlet in the middle of the ice and work their way up. And Matthews tried it, and it was like nothing but Panthers everywhere.
Yeah. They're good. It is a true strength of that team, but you know it's a strength of that team, so need some solutions.
Can I provide? There's no way that one of the most prolific goal scorers since he's entered the league is going to go 6 games in a playoff series without scoring, right?
Oh, there's a way.
6 games?
He is
11
shooting,
straight against the Panthers. He's not going to score a goal.
let's see if I can find the shooting percentage of the Leafs' top point getters in playoffs. It's like 17, 14, 4.9 for Matthews, 13, 18, 23, 20. Like, Matthews is 4.9. He's the one on the team that has a sub 5%
There has to
shooting
be a
percentage.
power play goal in there tonight.
4?
Like, at least, like, Scheifele shot one off Harley's skates last game. You know, everything's going off everyone. Matthews has 41 shots in 11 games. 2 goals. A couple can't go off something?
2 goals on 41 shots it's hard to.
Even if your wrist is broken, 41 shots should
First
lead
of
to
all,
a few more
like,
goals.
The wrist thing. In no world of mine is a guy taking faceoffs if he has a wrist issue.
I don't think he has a wrist issue.
I don't think he has a wrist issue either. Okay, it's not happening.
No.
You're not taking face-offs with a wrist issue.
Do not think he has a wrist issue.
So what's left?
Wrist issue
that's
stuff
hard
to
to say.
say.
What's
Shoulder
left?
surgery.
What's left?
Back.
Okay. Ask Tanev how his back is.
Well, it's not good.
Yeah.
Well, it's not good.
Well, it's not good.
So I don't want to hear it. I really don't. I want to hear you're hurt, don't play. Next.
I just said if his wrist is broken, you would expect a higher shooting percentage than that. It is in, some's luck. Yes, I don't know.
Okay. So we do have one Marchand clip,
Oh, delightful.
and I just would like to point out how incredibly good at this Brad Marchand is. And this is from Morning Skate today. Can we play clip 1, Brad Marchand, please, on Game 5?
It wasn't that one-sided when you look at it. Yeah, obviously,
my
we got a couple bounces, and that can dictate the outcome. But, I mean, they had a lot of opportunities that, like I said, the bounces are huge. They play a huge component of the playoffs, and we got more than they did last game. You know, they had a breakaway early. They had to post early when it was 1-0. Like, things like that change the course of a game, and, you know, it just kind of got away from them a little bit. But I don't think that the score was really an indication of how the game was played and how close it actually was. But it doesn't matter anyway. It has no impact on the game tonight. If anything, then it's going to make them hungrier, you know, to have a bounce back game and you know, to prove a lot of people wrong, which is a very dangerous combination. So you know, we have to be.
He's the
We have
best.
to bring our best game tonight. There's no questions about that.
We'll just be
hate
happy
this
to
guy.
even be in the game tonight.
So nice.
Oh, yeah, he's the best. Oh, the Leafs are going to be on fire tonight. Who could beat the Leafs tonight?
I think really one of the signs of me, like, growing in my Leaf fandom and just being older in general,
Appreciating that.
I just can't hate him anymore.
Yeah.
I can't hate him. I just, after all these
Grudging
years,
respect.
he's still so good. He's
That's
still,
you just saying,
he's-
Brad, you win.
but he's the Leafs
That's
papa.
right.
He's the Leafs papa. If they win, it's a 5-0 in the playoffs against him. Scored 1 million goals against him. Like,
Yeah.
what can I say?
He
He just owns the Leafs.
owns the Leafs.
He's
Even with those comments today, like
that's the most perfect quote of all time.
where you really wish he would, you know, just be the dirty rat that you are and just say, yeah, they sucked.
No, but
Leafs
they were really
sucked.
good.
They
We
sucked.
just got a couple bounces in 1-6-1. We just got a couple bounces.
That's so.
And they're going to be better tonight, but they sucked that night.
Yeah.
No, not at all.
No.
They're the best. See?
Buddy.
They're the best.
Just like, I mean, we got a taste of it with Team Canada before the game. I don't know how we could beat
No
them. They got-
bulletin board material.
They got a team full of Hall of Famers. Like, they're just unbelievable.
If we're even in this game, it'll be a miracle.
It's the best. You want to play Paul Maurice? Last one
Sure.
on
Good.
game 6.
Yeah, a little
heading
Paul
tonight?
Maurice for you. You got John Cooper too?
No.
Okay. All right. Just Paul then.
Yeah.
Maybe the environment changes, but every team is going to do that exact idea. Ours as well every single game, right? You're coming out and it's playoffs, so you're getting flat out the other team's very best. We would have possibly a desire advantage in that you're right there for a prize. They clearly will have a desperation advantage because the team that controls those things the best has the best chance to win. It's almost the same manifestation of what happens in a game. When you want it that bad, you start making plays to get it, right? You want to win the game every time you touch the puck. And when you've got that desperation, it's the same idea. You get it, you want to make something happen every time. So you want to control those emotions a little bit, keep the energy, and no secret plays.
The hell's he talking about?
Honestly, he talked for 11 minutes today, boys, and that was the only really thing I understood, and I barely understood it.
What was that?
I'm just at the point. They could lose Game 7, the Leafs, but make them get on a plane. Make them come to a hotel.
Inconvenience
Make them there's not one guy on the Florida Panthers right now that wants to get. They want to win tonight and go back and sleep in their bed and get 4 or 5 days off.
Forget the Leafs. Gear up for Carolina, where no one's going to ask them any questions.
Make them pack.
Make them
Print
pack.
the T-shirt.
Make them pack.
Make them pack.
Make them pack.
Pick out the socks.
Hey,
Oh, what a hassle.
just a toothbrush, probably Marchand.
Yeah.
Just a toothbrush
You're
in
not wrong,
in
though.
his jacket.
Can you imagine that? Yeah, that begrudging, like, oh,
Yes,
we're gonna
it's
go
the
back
worst.
to that.
And
Some
it's
more questions.
Customs and
Customs.
Make him go through customs.
3.5 hours. What's Florida, Toronto? Three?
Sure.
Three
It's really,
plus?
It's really not that bad.
Yeah.
And they'll have like 3 beautiful meals on the flight and play cards.
Hey, stale cookies. No. They
Yeah, it's Florida. You're right.
Florida Panthers.
I don't know if their owner can get anything these days.
All right, what else we got, Sammy?
Let's hit the break and we'll come back and do Leafs line.
Leafs line. You've heard from us way too much. We want to hear from you next on Sammy's Leaf line when we return to Real Kyper and Bourne. Welcome back to the program. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee. It's the Real Kyper and Bourne show, a segment that we started, I don't know, halfway through the season.
Mid-January?
And
Yeah,
it's
mid-January.
It's my favorite.
Leaf line, where you get to take over the show.
Yes, you do. And the Leafs line is brought to you by Muskoka Bay Resort, a top 10 ranked Canadian course, part of the Freed Golf Network. Interesting calls today
Oh, yeah?
in terms of just
How are people feeling?
Let's start.
60-40?
Let's start. I don't know. I don't know where you get your percentages from. Let's start with
You guys.
Let's start with Paris in Hamilton.
Hey guys, it's Terrace from Hamilton here again, and I got a feeling we might not win the cup this year. But you know what I do know? We're going to win tonight because we gotta. That way they can inflict the maximum amount of pain upon this fan base on Sunday. Jesus. Thanks for a great year, boys. You did a great job. Well, at least you did. Go Leafs, go.
Terrace,
See you in
Terrace, if you're
2026.
listening, repeat after me. Make them pack. Make them pack.
Slightly inconvenience them.
Yes.
I mean,
He's on board.
I just love that. Should probably be a drop. Jesus.
What would be the maximum pain?
Like a good hearty win tonight where you feel, Matthews scores 3.
Yes.
You know, Marner's awesome. They find it. They look electric. Wool's awesome.
Yeah.
And you're like,
Yeah.
they've got it.
Well,
And the same thing to me happens in Game 7, where the Leafs play great. Matthews and Marner both score. They're buzzing. They go to overtime,
See-
and they lose on a fluky goal, and then we get to have the conversation. But Matthews and Marner, they were really good in those 2 games.
yeah.
They were really, but maybe,
as
run it back.
Jesus.
as ugly as Game 5 was,
Yeah.
this is the part where we all go, you're telling me there's a chance,
Yep.
but they have another night to prove to everybody that it is different.
Yeah.
It is different.
Redemption's available.
I don't believe you.
It's just thank God you've got another opportunity, and it didn't end on that Game 5.
So true. You know,
You should just alone on that. You should feel really good going to the rink tonight.
I appreciate the feedback I got in my article, the absence of greatness that I wrote the other night. But, you know, in it, I feel like I didn't close the door on the possibility.
Well, you're very optimistic in general.
Okay, that's fine. It is, but it's not over. And it's so
It's
weird to be like,
True.
you
It is
know?
true. It's not over.
So anyway,
So
Okay, to that point, let's go to Davy in Dublin.
Quick question. If the Leafs go to Florida, and let's say they equal out, you know, a 2-1, a 3-1, whatever, and they get it back to Game 7 and they win, is Marner owed an apology? You know, they're being absolutely ridiculed from everyone. You know, Bunkers was ready to kill 6 of them yesterday. But on a serious note, would they be owed an apology from the fans and Toronto media for the absolute lashing they're taking? Thanks, boys. Love the show.
that's a really great question.
absolute lashing.
Lashing.
Yeah.
It's great.
And
No.
the answer is no.
No.
The answer is no. There's just has to be an acceptance in this market that when you play well, you get all the accolades, you get commercials, you get this, you get that, and then when you don't, they pound on you
Yeah.
here.
Yep.
They'll absolutely pound on you. And that has to be one of those things where if you're a Leaf, you understand it. And if you're on the outside, you go, oh my God, would I really want to play in that market?
And, we do the analysis based on what has happened in real life. And we have been, in my opinion, to try to be fair. And if the information changes and they do awesome stuff, I will adjust and I will give praise and I will applaud. But I don't think it would make what we said previously incorrect or apology worthy, for that matter.
If they go to play against Carolina, whenever that will start, I will say right now, I will fully apologize. I will apologize. And then I'll get mad all over again when they're playing like crap against Carolina. But for that one day,
Carolina just fills them in four columns.
I will apologize. I've apologized. I have a very guilty conscience. I've apologized my whole life.
We got locked in cameras, but you'd end up on your knees apologizing if it meant going to a conference final.
Correct. I don't have.
He would do some
shorts
unholy things to make that happen.
Yes.
Yes, that's true. Let's go to. Okay, so as positive, I guess, as the first two kind of were.
Oh, here comes the.
Do you guys want to get into the mud a little bit?
I don't, but I think our caller will.
Alex in Oak Ridge's place.
My take today is I think the other night showed us, and I think we can all agree, that some changes need to happen. Some changes are overdue after 9 years, and that includes exploring trading Austin Matthews. I think he could use a fresh start too after everything he's gone through over here. I think a team like Utah with a lot of young, controllable players would be an attractive destination to land a player like Austin Matthews. They'd love to have him on their team. And it could be a great opportunity with a lot less pressure and closer to home for him. And they've got players like Keller and Gunther and probably a plethora of picks. I'm not sure what their cupboard looks like. But yeah, that's my thought. What do you guys think? And that would leave us a lot of extra money to play with over the next couple of years.
It's just so hard to get top-end guys. So hard.
Well, first of all, Alex, I will tell you this, that in the last 24 hours, for some of my contacts or some of the people that I talk to daily, like that's the conversation people are having behind the scenes.
I've got that question way more.
What does it look like if they lose tonight, and where do they go moving forward? And now's not the time to have that conversation. I don't know if Monday morning will be.
Monday might be.
Right? May not be, as you prepare for life maybe with Carolina. We don't know until we know. But Alex's comment is more real with conversations than I've had. So you're telling me there's a chance. Mm-hmm. There's more of Alec in that conversation, including Matthews. In all probability, and I've said this, you don't get past Florida. We know Marner's gone. And where do they go moving forward? That, Alex, is a real conversation that's been going on with many of us.
Yeah, he's 6'3", 220, won the Hart Trophy. He's, Jack Eichel, had his start to the career in Buffalo, and everyone's like, this guy, all the negativity, whatever, goes to Vegas, plays on a good team, they win a cup, and all of a sudden, anyway.
Let's switch up the vibes.
Yeah.
Let's go to Mary in Vaughan with, I believe, a poem. Mary in Vaughan.
What's up, Kipper? Hey, Borny. Hi, Sammy McKee. I watch your show religiously. I tune in each day for some experts' advice. Hey, if the Leaf team did too, wouldn't that be nice? Yeah, I've been a Leaf fan for so many years. And so what if the playoffs has reduced me to tears? I hang on to the hope that our hope heroes come through and make all of my Stanley Cup dreams come true. So I cheer, I believe while I watch every game, and I pray to Lord Stanley this year won't end the same. It's not over yet, folks. Game 6 is finally here. We still have the time to proclaim this is our year.
Yes.
The thrill beats in my heart and refuses to slow as I chant for my team.
See,
Well, I guess I cut her off.
Go, Leafs, go.
See,
The night before Christmas theme there.
I will say this, that
Love you, Mary.
we know.
Yeah, thank
Sorry
you
for
for the
cutting you
effort
off.
on
we
that. That
know
was awesome.
the Leafs are the most envious team in the league. They're the richest team. They're the team that pisses everybody off because they have a lot of power. They get Vancouver fans to change their time, right?
My favorite thing of the year.
But it's not the money that they make, right? It's not the attention that they get. They're most jealous of fans like Mary.
Yeah.
Because they don't have many Marys.
No.
They don't have as many Marys on their team as the Leafs do.
The Marys per 60 here is high. They have a lot of lovely fans.
We just got a text. I think we're going to lose game 6 just because of that.
Can you hey, see? You can't tell that and laugh at the same time. Did you understand him?
Yeah.
Because he just said it like he's
Because
got
it's
a
a mean
mouthful
thing.
of
Someone
marbles.
texted and said, I think we're going to lose
Okay,
game 6
we got
because of that poem.
One quick
Don't listen
one.
to it. It's a great poem.
One quick one.
Love it.
Let's go to Hunter from Toronto to fire us up at the end.
Yeah, it's not looking good. Guess what? They're professional athletes. You're down 3-2. Yeah, it hurts. Yeah, it sucks. But you know what's better than going into the Sunshine State is making it rain.
Yes.
In the Florida tonight. You take a win. You don't take a win. You steal a win. Because the last thing Paul Maurice and his island of misfit toys want to do is go back to Toronto.
Make them pack.
Make them
So you
pack.
take the win and go back and listen to all the people like me and the three of you and everybody on social media and maybe secretly all of the players' friends in the group chats are thinking this team is cooked. They might be, but isn't that fun when there's no expectations? Isn't it fun when the bar is so low you stub your toe?
But every day
Go
on
in
this
there
show.
and get a win tonight, and then break my heart on Sunday when you lose in Game 7. That's all. Have a good day.
Buddy, he should give the pregame speech. They should pipe it in.
Fly him in right now. It's not too late. Can you get down there in 3 hours for puck drop?
Make them pack.
That's the theme of the day.
Anyways, the Leafs line was brought to you by Muskoka Bay Resort, a top 10 ranked Canadian course, part of the Freed Golf Network. And Sportsnet and Muskoka Bay Resort are excited to kick off a contest to give away an incredible stay and play package for four retailing for $4,500. All you have to do is text Muskoka to 59590 to enter and visit sportsnet.ca/590 contest for more details. Standard message and data rates may apply.
Nice job, Sammy. Nice job, Freed Golf Network. All right, boys. Dare I say it or ask it? Give me a score tonight.
So the one thing I did want to add to this is that even if they're not the most competitive, the Stars of this like fire or whatever, there's a lot of incentive to not go out like last game, right? To not embarrass yourself, to at least put forth a prideful effort. I think tonight goes to overtime, and I don't know if they're going to get the bounce or not. I'll take the positive view and say they win 3-2 in overtime, but I think it's going to be close hockey.
I've said Florida in Game 7, so that means they win tonight.
I said Leafs in 7, so give me the Leafs 2-1 in triple overtime.
2-1.
Triple overtime.
Triple overtime.
Triple
We're going to leave
overtime.
talk after.
All right.
We've been blessed. There hasn't even been a double in the Leafs talk era.
We've got some Jim Carrey vibes here. There's a chance.
Oh, by the way,
I
and we'll
thought
be
you meant
on.
the Net Detective.
We'll be on holiday
So
Monday.
you're telling me there's
So
a
we're coming back
chance.
after Sunday. We'll be back on holiday Monday.
There you go. Producer spoke.
There you go.
Real Kyper and Bourne on Monday. Okay. That is one quick hour preparing for Game 6 for the Toronto Maple Leafs. We go national next with you-know-who, Doug MacLean. We're back after these words. It's the National Hour on the Real Kyper and Bourne Show. We are live on Sportsnet 650 in Vancouver, Sportsnet 960 in Calgary. This hour of Real Kyper and Bourne brought to you by Bet365. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee. In a few minutes, we'll welcome in Doug MacLean. It is Friday. Former NHL president, GM, head coach. Did we have him on last week?
Yeah.
Oh, we did, yeah.
Yeah, he was great last week.
All
Really
right.
good.
He was like, was he maybe in Cincinnati last week?
Yeah. Not sure where he is. We'll find out soon.
Back in Canada.
And we'll find out whether or not he thinks there's a chance for the Leafs to extend this.
And the Jets.
We know that the Jets made it reality by extending their season on a Connor Hellebuck 22-save shutout.
We were perilously close to the first Saturday night with no hockey. I mean, thank you, Jets.
Can I just...
God, it would have been so horrible to go for dinner and maybe see
You
your
don't
loved one.
have to watch the game.
Can I-
Well, yeah, I do.
Put
I'm a sports fan.
Hit record on it,
No.
will you?
I can't recall this many Stanley Cup playoffs where like the league didn't really care about Canada Saturday night or not.
Mm-hmm. But I don't feel like for us here, it's been a big negative to have the Leafs Friday, Sunday, and then Oilers or something on Saturday night. Like it.
Yeah.
Do you think about that? I don't really think about
Well,
that.
I don't. Again, I'm not privileged to all the decisions and why, but clearly, from the States to Canada, there's this prime window that attracts the most advertisement and top dollar. So as much as we all love watching the Oilers, in the part where it attracts the most money,
right?
It's not great for 9:30 Eastern. That's where all the money is. It's in the East.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day.
Yeah. No,
So
it is.
I'll give you one.
It
I'll
is
give you one
notable.
now. Is if the last I heard, and this is not official, and I don't know where it's at today, but a day and a half ago, 2 days ago, there was talk about if the Leafs extended the series to Sunday, it would be played at 3 p.m.
What
on
are you
Sunday.
talking about?
I'm telling you. Why?
Lose tonight.
Why is
American TV.
what's on that night?
They want the game on national TV in the U.S. in the afternoon. They
Football
don't want
style?
it. They don't want it at 7:30 or 8 on a Sunday. Wow.
Well,
And
I don't believe that would happen.
I don't know. I don't know. I know it was talked about and it was floating around that there could be a 3 p.m. start on Sunday for the Toronto Maple Leafs if they extend their series after tonight.
I actually love it. Change up the feel, change up the juju, have people come in a little earlier to the rink, have everybody's routine get mixed up a little bit.
No
Less
nap
ti-
for the Cats. Frustrated they had to pack.
less time to think about it. Make them pack. Make them pack.
The first hour, if you
But-
missed it, that's the theme of the day.
So I'm looking at
Make 'em pack.
I'm looking at the NBA because there is a game 7 on Sunday, and it's Denver versus OKC. But that game's at 3:30.
Mm-hmm.
So it would be surprising to me if they want to go across. Anyways, worry about that. At least when
I don't know.
Oh no,
A guy
Love
that
the
would know
jersey.
better on television deals and how they affect the league
Oh,
or
he's
the
fresh
team
off the course.
would be our next guest. It ain't off the rails until this man officially comes on our show, Doug MacLean. How'd it go? You golfed, obviously, today.
Yeah, you don't want to ask.
Okay, so
I get invited to this prestigious golf club in Connecticut here, and I have to leave early so I can come for this show. So I didn't have time to even fix my hair for the show. So I wore this hat for the Maple Leafs because they could be on the course as quick as I'm here.
You know, we just spent an hour on our Leaf Edition hour of our show with
dissecting.
There's, as long as there's a breath, there's life. So where do you have them on the chances of extending this tonight?
You know what? They're talented enough to do it, but everybody's talking. Are they a team? I was saying the other day, somebody said, well, our group, this, our group, that. And I'm thinking that if I'm with a group, I go to a movie with a group, or I go and watch something with a group, but I don't play hockey as a group. You're a team. So they got to play like a team. And they were god awful the other night. I was so disappointed in how that game shook out. And not only that, it's been 2 in a row where they've been horrible. Let's not kid ourselves. And, 2 in a row this time of year, it's hard to win series,
Can I ask you?
I'll tell you what.
Yeah, go ahead.
It reminds me so much of when I was in Detroit. We had Stevie Yzerman, who was a 50-goal scorer in the regular season. And in the playoffs, Stevie Y really, really struggled early in his career. And people forget, Steve Yzerman won his first Stanley Cup in year 14 of his career. Year 14 of his career, he won his first Stanley Cup. That's hard to believe, isn't it?
It is.
And I think of Matthews and Marner, and I think back to Stevie Y. We lost to Toronto in Game 7. He really struggled in that series. Borcheski, you guys will recall, maybe scored the winning goal in that series in Game 7 against us in Detroit. We had a really good team. We're up 2-0 in that series and blew it. The next year we lost to San Jose. And all of a sudden, Lidstrom becomes a real player, and the Russian 5 become real players with Larionov and Konstantinov and all the group there, Kozlov. And all of a sudden, Stevie Y becomes the greatest captain in the history, one of the greatest captains in the history of the game, when he was surrounded by a lot better team.
So what you're telling, what you're telling Leaf fans is, hang in there for another 6 years.
I'm not, maybe this will be the last time I ever address the Leafs fans, Look, I'm not telling you to hang in for 6 years. They could win tonight. I just, what? I was saying they were finally had their bottom 6 was better. They were tougher. They play a better game. Their blue line was better. Their goaltending's the best that it's been forever. And then I watched the last 2 games and I said, how wrong could I be? They were horrible the last 2 games. And I'm sorry. I don't know. I don't know. Look, if this ends tonight, it's going to get really ugly as to how to rebuild this team. And we've said it forever. How do you build a team with 4 guys making that kind of money?
All right.
How do you do it?
I just want to go back just to that Game 5 for a second here, okay? You've been a coach, you've been a general manager, you've been a president. If you would have watched that early and say, you're upstairs, at any point in Game 5, would you have come down to the dressing room either during the game or after the game and address it, Mac? Would you have tried to find out answers to why on a home night when you've been kind of prepped for this the past 8 years, you would come out like that?
Do you remember, and I thought of this the other night during the game, do you remember a year ago was it a year ago that Paul Maurice called the timeout and went absolutely ballistic on his team on the bench?
That was, I think, 2 years ago.
Yeah, that was regular season.
At the end of the regular season.
The year they lost.
It turned them around.
Yeah.
It turned them around. They became a different team. And I have to give Paul credit for that. And that was a drastic move, because there's times you do that, you can lose your team as well. You can lose your team if you blow the game or you don't win. And guys are looking, who's this crazy guy on the bench? But this group needs, I thought Berube this year was giving them a jolt. And I think he has, and I think he's done a good job. I really do. But they just don't get it. They can't get it to the next gear. Now, I hope I'm so wrong and they win tonight and bring it back for a Game 7. But I'm having a hard time having faith in them. I really am.
Mac, do you put any stock in, we've talked about Austin Matthews' injuries, whether he has a significant back injury or, this recurring wrist thing. Do you put any stock in that for maybe why he's not producing as much?
How can he have a hand injury or whatever they say and take every face off?
Tough.
If you have a hand injury or a wrist injury or a thumb injury, you're not taking face-offs. Am I wrong in that?
I guess it depends on the severity.
And dominating.
And he's taken every face-off.
Yeah.
You know? So there's got to be something wrong with him because he's too good a player to be playing like this. But I'm telling you, his game reminds me so much of Stevie Y's. It's scary.
Really?
It's scary. It really does. And I mean, 50 goals in the regular season for Stevie, and he put so much pressure on himself that he couldn't perform. And then, as I said, as the team got better, Stevie Y became one of the great leaders of the game. But I'm telling you, I remember sitting in the stands with him during that Leafs series, and he was struggling big time, mentally struggling because he wanted to do it so badly, and he wasn't getting it done. So, and Marner, I don't get Marner. Marner's been so good for me all year. He makes so many great plays. He turns the puck over, and not another player in sight to help him out. Like, where were the other guys? Up? Were they on the forecheck, or where were they? Were they going for the bomb, or what? How the hell is he the only guy left in the neutral zone?
It just seems like Florida's a team that from one end to the other just have so many different ways that they can beat you or get through you.
I mean, 17 different guys have scored for them. What's that tell you? That tells you they're a team, not a group. They're a team. 17 guys score for them. And how many hits has Tanev taken? 75 hits?
More.
What's that tell you?
Yeah, he's getting absolutely pounded.
He's getting pounded. He's getting, and do you not think that's part of the game plan? To pound the living snot out of him? I mean, the guy must be so beat up, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, and they also target the Nylanders and Marners and the Matthews. They target them.
It's Nick, it's the playoffs. That's what you're supposed to do. You know? You're supposed to. I remember having a team meeting before we played the Pittsburgh Penguins, and I've told you this, guys, when I said in the team meeting, guys, night before the game one, I want Mario and Yager and all these superstars to hate hockey when this series is over. And guess what? They hated hockey when that series was over. It was ugly and vicious. And, Mario, I mean, he was exhausted. Him and Yager were exhausted at the end of that. And Zubov and all these superstars. It was unbelievable how we punished them. It really was. I don't know. But the Leafs can't seem to get to that level. And that, I don't understand it because they're a talented group.
It's so funny, too.
I don't get it.
We spend so much time talking about the Leafs, and they have all this high-end talent. And then you watch the other Eastern Conference team, Carolina, who doesn't have a top 5 guy, top 10 guy, whatever. They just go to conference finals. That's all they do. No big deal.
And do you see how their puck pursuit?
Mm-hmm.
Do you see how hard these guys pursue the puck?
Martinook,
and how
Stahl,
hard
those guys get after it.
And how they forecheck and how focused they are at faceoffs and how they're jumping off faceoffs. Even when they lose the draw, they're giving it that extra push to win the battle, to get control of the puck. And they're well coached, extremely well coached, in my opinion. And they never win it because their goalie always lets them down before the end of it. Right. So let's see if that happens. But I watched Vegas the other day. And I'll tell you what, somebody said to me, what happens when you lose your generator? And I said, well, your lights go out. And they said, that's exactly what happened in Vegas. The lights went out. You know why? They lost their generator. You know who their generator was? Who their Conn Smythe winner was? When they won a cup? Yeah, and he's in Nashville. And they lost their generator. They lost the guy that was the juice. And they lost him. And all of a sudden, these other stars never got a sniff. Do you see how many guys didn't score for Vegas? That's what's going on with the Leafs. They need a generator because they don't have one right now that I see. They don't even have one to lose because nobody's generating.
A pretty good one. A pretty good one in Alberta that many people didn't see is doing a lot of generating in Evander Kane.
Yeah, it's almost like Corey Perry, isn't it? Every playoff we hear about Evander Kane. Remember when he's in San Jose playing Vegas? We heard about him every game. Whether he was gambling or whether he was whatever he was doing, we heard about him every game. So I mean, they live for playoff hockey. I mean, look at Skinner. Like bounces back with 2 shutouts after being ridiculed by everybody in the hockey world, and the guy comes back. And you know what? I got to tell you, I look at the group. And you mentioned Kane, I mean, Brown, Arvidsson. I mean, these guys are Kapanen gets an overtime win. I'm thinking, what are they doing with Kapanen on their team, for God's sake? And he gets the winner. And I mean, it comes back to McDavid and Draisaitl. They're the engines, they're the guys. So I like it. I mean, I got to give them full credit.
So
but
the other team...
Leafs,
Yeah,
the Leafs can't lose, boys. They can't lose tonight. If they lose tonight, this is gonna be ugly.
What's gonna happen?
Okay, no,
I
okay,
don't.
all right.
It's
no,
gonna
no.
be, I don't know.
Before
what's
you
gonna happen,
answer
it's gonna
that,
be really ugly.
I got a question for you around that. Okay, you've been a president in the National Hockey League. Brendan Shanahan's the president.
Now I'm a golfer.
Now you're a golfer. But what kind of night would it feel like for Brendan Shanahan tonight, going into a very critical game?
It would remind me when you run into a bear in the woods and what happens to your pants. They become full of something. He'd be on the verge of seeing a bear and trying to run away, but he couldn't run away fast enough because his pants were full of something.
Oh, boy.
So it would be tense. It would be nerve-wracking. And, Brendan believes in this team. He's believed in this group. He believes in this team, and he will be bitterly disappointed, as will Leaf Nation. That's why, I'm going to say this. It wouldn't surprise me if they win tonight. It wouldn't surprise me. And it wouldn't surprise me if they lose game 7. I don't know.
That's like all borderline consensus at this point about what's going to happen. Just to make sure we touch on them while we have you, the Winnipeg Jets with a monster win last night, 4-0. Jamie Benn punched Scheifele in the face and got fined for it. But otherwise, they got a shutout from Hellebuck. Top guys played well. Can the Jets work their way back here?
If a franchise needs another round, it's the Winnipeg Jets.
Yeah.
Look, they're a franchise that's, small building, tough market. And a great regular season. They really need it. I don't see them beating Dallas. I just don't.
So
I think Dallas is too good, and they dominated the game.
Well, is it based? You feeling this way? Is it just simply based on like they've lost any confidence on the road, and Connor Hellebuck cannot win on the road? Is that it? Because they're like the Leafs. You still got an opportunity. You got one opportunity. You win. Yeah. You win the road game, and you should win it back home in Game 7. The way I see it,
good enough. Hellebuck's good enough to win them a game. He's good. Hellebuck, based on what we've seen, his body of work, excluding the playoffs, he's good enough to win them the game. He did it all season.
But can he do it on a road game?
I don't see them winning, but him and Kyle Connor are their hope. Kyle Connor scores a couple of goals, and he gets it. He stands on his head. They've got a chance. Other than that, I don't see them winning. But I've been wrong. Like I'm glad I'm glad you guys don't run tape checks on this show, because I've been wrong a lot. I've been so wrong, I wouldn't have me back next year.
You wish. You're coming back, like it or not, pal.
Nice try. You don't know it, but you got a lifetime contract on our show.
Yeah. So
as we're racing from the golf course, and we're with our friends there, and I'm saying we got to get there. He's like, you must do really well off this show, Doug. You're up basket case. And Jill just looked at me and shook her head. You tell Kypreos. I said, I'm not saying anything, honey. I'm happy just to get the airtime. It's good for book sales.
There it is. The ultimate reason why.
Ask her, where'd you
Go
play today,
Leafs,
Doug?
go.
Where were you?
I played at Ridgeway Golf Course in Danbury, Connecticut. And tomorrow we're heading to Martha's Vineyard for a couple of days and spend some time in the vineyard. Our ferry, I think, is at noon to take us to the vineyard. So we're going to go over and spend a couple of days there and then head to PEI on Tuesday.
Home of the Danbury Trashers.
Yes, actually it is.
Matt,
it is.
in terms of where we are at this point, is there any team more impressive right now from top to bottom than the Edmonton Oilers for you? I mean, they're doing this without Ekholm.
No, they've been real impressive. And look, what about Pickard, Moncton kid? Look at how he comes off the bench and wins 4, 6 or whatever in a row. I mean, really, he might be the story of the playoffs, guys. They were done. LA had them on the ropes and they were done. What about Kenny Holland now? Leaves. They couldn't wait to get rid of him in Edmonton. And, with the greatest record of all, maybe one of the great general manager records other than Sam Pollock. And now he goes to LA because he really wants to beat Edmonton. I had by the way, I have to say hello to a great friend, a lifelong friend, Jim Devellano. I talked to him the other day.
Jimmy, big hello.
I talked to Jimmy D for 45 minutes. He loves the show every Friday. He said it's a real hockey show. And when a guy like Jim Devellano tells you it's a real hockey, well, no, I should correct that. He didn't say it's a real hockey show. He said it's a real segment. A real segment.
We do 20 good minutes a week.
It really came down to him.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is he doesn't
kidding.
watch Monday through Thursday.
I'm telling you, Jim. No, Jimmy loves the show. So anyway, I want to say hello to him. And then, anyway, so I've had Anyway, it's good.
How much
Go
do you
Leafs,
think
go.
the league should be involved in stuff like Jamie Benn getting fined for a punch to Scheifele last game, or it feels like every play there's some crowd call for fines and suspensions. Feels like people are taking it off ice an awful lot.
And you should speak of this.
It's a war out there. It's the playoffs. They shouldn't just have the league just relax and just watch the games.
You were the worst. Coley tells me you were one of the worst for calls to the league.
Oh, I'm embarrassed.
Yeah, you should be embarrassed.
I think back on my career, and I think I feel terrible. Every referee that wrote a damn book, I'm at least 2 pages in every book. What a jerk I was, and I feel terrible about it. I do. But anyway,
but it speaks of trying to get a competitive edge.
It speaks of I wanted to win, and it was, hey, listen. I think back to Columbus, and I'm still sour about it. I'm still sour about it. The cards we were dealt in Columbus, it was a joke compared to what Seattle, Vegas, and even Nashville. Nashville come in by themselves. We come in with Minnesota at the same time. It was a joke anyway. And now I see. Anyway,
tell us how you really feel.
That's not an excuse. That's not an excuse. Anyway. I was dumb. I was really dumb, to say the least. It was ugly. I used to go by, I told you about the guy that used to be the attendant for the referees in Columbus, and I had a deal with him. If I was mad after a game, we lost in the referees, he'd hold the door open for me so I could walk by and yell at them. He'd keep the door open. He was the guy that used to bring them beer after the game and towels. And I'd say, well, because you got $10,000 fine if you went to the door. So he'd see me coming. I'd give him the thumbs up, open the door. He'd keep it open till I was finished yelling as I was walking by. It was bad.
Would you have any suggestions to like change the system or find different ways to
I think we all just need to
monitor all
be
that?
accepting that it's all sorted out on the ice by and large, right?
I think Brandon should go down and have the door open and yell at the referees before the game. Him and Tree Living. But anyway, look, they got to win tonight, because, like I said, there's no way around it. We'll see. We'll see what they're made of tonight. We will see what the Leafs are made of tonight. We really will.
You believe in Joseph Woll?
I'm hoping. I feel for Joseph Woll. I do. He held them in the game before. Yeah. I didn't think he was great the other night, but I mean, they come in waves and they're pounding away. It's tough. It's tough to play goal. Look, losing Stolarz was a tough break too. Let's not kid ourselves. But no excuses. They should have won this series. Up 2-0. They should have won this series.
You know, Mac, if the Florida Panthers do get by the Leafs tonight, are we going to start talking about this team being a special team? The Florida Panthers and some future Hall of Famers on this team?
Yeah, you're going to, because Barkov is going to end up being a Hall of Famer. And I'm the guy that Bobrovsky's been unbelievable. And I'll tell you and he wasn't very good, guys, the first 2 games. I said after 2 games, if Bobrovsky doesn't turn this around, it's going to be a short series for the Leafs. And guess what? He turned it around big time. But you know the guys that I'm impressed with? Obviously Tkachuk, but what about Reinhart? What about the way Reinhart and Bennett have become heart and soul guys? If some of the Leafs played as hard as Reinhart and Benning and these guys play, they'd be Bennett. They'd be a different team, but they just can't seem to get it up to that playing on the edge. They just can't seem to get it there. It's frustrating as hell to watch.
Well, one more crack at it tonight. Are you going to go back to the course and play the rest of your game, or is Jill got you locked in?
We're just going to order pizza and I'm going to pout about not being able to play the 18 holes. But you know what? I make a commitment. And it's like the Leafs have to do tonight. They have to be like me. They have to make a commitment that they're going to, show up, do the job, entertain the fans. That's what they've got to do tonight. They've got to do a Doug MacLean segment.
That's
tonight.
What you do every week.
Hey,
bring it.
I just got a note from Titleist. They want you to take their hat off.
You owe them money for the appearance.
They were doing so well this weekend at the PGA.
Sales are plummeting.
And now they saw you at the endorsement, and they're not very happy. Hey.
Listen, a buddy of mine gave me, I played this $1 million course in Florida, on Indian Creek where Brady and all those guys live. And my buddy he's a member there, gives me a bag of balls when I'm leaving. He said, I don't use these anymore. I was so damn excited to get 35 free Titleist, used Titleist, but he doesn't like Titleist anymore. So he gave me his Titleist balls. I'm thinking, what a gift this is.
You're sponsored.
Oh my God.
You're a true pro.
So then I pull out a Titleist today, a Titleist ball, going to play it, and I look at it. It's a Pro V, and it's got on the other side, it's got Drunk Paul written on it. Drunk Paul. So they're custom-made balls for Paul, for some drunk Paul.
Drunk. Well, listen,
Guys, I really enjoy this show when I'm on, and I really, I hope the Leafs can win it so we can keep. If the Leafs lose tonight, am I done for the year?
No. We're taking your right through free agency, end of July. All right, man. Enjoy the game. Thanks for doing this. Doug MacLean,
thanks
off the rails.
For having me on, guys. I really appreciate it.
Okay, hang up
man.
now. Drunk Paul.
Thanks a lot for having me on.
Let's welcome in Drunk Paul.
Let's see if we can get him to replace Mac.
Oh, my God. So? You didn't even bring up the Tocchet thing. How did he not bring that up? Remember, middle of the year, he was like, he said that.
Yeah.
I cannot believe.
Hey, bring him back on. Bring him back on.
Hang in there, Mac.
Hey.
What?
Hey. What? You're like the guy that, stopped breathing and we put paddles on you and now you're back to life.
He's back.
Hey, we can't end the segment without talking about you, 3 months ago, telling us Tocchet's going to Philly.
I'm an insider. You think Elliot Friedman's the only insider in the game? Like, seriously. Yeah, I knew it. I called it. It's one of the few calls I've got right, but get a tape of that and run it every once in a while when you're doing promos for this show. MacLean called it.
So, based on your information and your sources, should Vancouver file tampering charges? What do you think? You think it's a good fit? It's the only fit. It was the one that was there all along.
It was there. It's a natural for me. It's a natural for me. You know what? I really want to see Rick Tocchet do something. Look, he had a bad team in Tampa. It didn't turn out very well. He didn't have a great team, obviously, in Arizona. He makes the playoffs 1 year in Vancouver, and then they're out the next year. I mean, with everybody after him, I'd like to see him really do something,
Okay, we're going to, I want the ending of Ferris Bueller's Day Off where, he's going, you're still here? It's over. Go home. Go home.
I'm out. Look, we're ordering pizza, and I'm going to go down and have a beer and try to relax. The stress of this show is driving me right around the bend. I got to come up with great information every week. I'm done. I'm tired.
All right.
Take a break.
See you later. You're free.
Yeah, go away because the good news is we're not. We should
take care, guys.
You don't get to double invoice us, because you came back.
Okay.
All right, Doug MacLean finally gone.
I have to say, you throwing to him. And him still being there.
How long do you typically stay there?
That's one of the funniest moments I've ever seen on this show.
I'm going to tell you what it is. He doesn't leave because he thinks we're going to still talk about him after. Yeah. So he's trying to listen in.
I suggested replacing him with the drunk guy. So,
Drunk Paul.
Drunk Paul.
Can we find you, Drunk Paul?
God, that was so funny. Game time.
Oh. Do we have enough energy?
It's game time. Presented by Bet365. Visit the app for latest odds and find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 19 plus, Ontario only. Please play responsibly. All right. One game tonight, 8 p.m., Sunrise, Florida, and your Toronto Maple Leafs are prohibitive underdogs. They are plus 195 tonight. Plus 195. The Florida Panthers are minus 240.
Do they have a puck line? Can I get Leafs plus a goal and a half?
Leafs plus goal and a half is minus 135.
I'd consider that bad.
Okay.
Because if you think it's going to OT or it's going to be close.
I'm looking quickly at goal scoring here as I quickly pull this up. You got to think at some point here, fellas, that Austin Matthews is going to score a goal. Is that am I allowed to say that or no?
I don't know.
No?
Yeah, you are allowed.
Give me tonight a Austin Matthews goal against the Florida Panthers. Plus 180. Plus 180. Austin Matthews breaks his playoff streak against the Florida Panthers of what is it now? 10 games? 10 games. No, 11 games. No, this is the 11th game he's played against the
Florida Panthers.
Gotta
be a power play goal.
Okay, whatever it is. Still counts as a goal. Anytime goal scorer, Austin Matthews tonight against the Florida Panthers. Looking ahead quickly, just wanted to look at the golf because we've, just a full disclosure to everybody, we have the PGA Championship on inside our studio. Scotty Scheffler, who is -3. The leaders are at -8, which is Jonathan Vegas. Scotty Scheffler is the favorite at plus 400. Bryson DeChambeau, the second at plus 650. And some really good value on Vegas if you think he's going to be able to pull this off, which I don't know if he will be able to, but plus 1,200 for the guy who's leading the tournament by 2. So there you go. Could be a really good sports weekend. We got this. We got the Game 7 in the NBA, Jets, all the stuff that's going on. Preakness Stakes. So ready to rock. And that was Game Time presented by Bet365. Visit the app for latest odds and find out why it's ever ordinary at Bet365. Must be 19 plus, Ontario only. Please play responsibly.
All right, great job, Sammy.
Thanks,
we're going to do a couple texts. Text us at 590-590 if you can squeeze a few out.
Can I ask you a journalistic question here, a producing question? We still have a few Leaf flying callers.
Yeah.
And I know it's our national hour, and I know...
Yeah, we'll let a couple come by.
They're the only show in town tonight.
The only show in...
It's on Sportsnet.
Yeah.
It's the hockey game of record tonight.
Okay, we're going to play a couple Leaf line callers when we come back.
Okay, but I did want to plan on having an Ovechkin conversation with you guys.
Okay.
After the break,
We can do that.
because Washington was eliminated.
Think he's going to retire?
Ovi's like 40 years old. I think he's got another year on his deal. He's already got the record. What's left? Is it time for Ovi to move on?
From hockey or to the KHL?
That and more
Oh,
when we
yeah.
return
Sorry,
to
Leaf line.
Real Kipper and Bourne. As a reminder, this hour of Real Kipper and Bourne brought to you by Bet365, Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee. We bring it home on this Friday evening.
I just saw a stat. The Toronto Maple Leafs, who played tonight, have not lost 4 games in a row the entirety of the 2024-2025.
Ooh.
Now, did they play
Bets are
the Florida
changing it.
Panthers 82 games or no?
They did not,
Oh.
unfortunately.
Are bets changing as we speak based on this information Sammy's bringing?
I sure hope not. Be better with your money than that.
I mean, it's not nothing.
It's not something.
Okay.
Okay.
Going to break.
Ovi?
Wanted to talk to you guys about Alexander Ovechkin and the buildup that that went throughout the regular season. Will he do it? Will he not do it? Break Wayne Gretzky's record. He did it. I don't know if maybe that had something to do with maybe energy falling off a little bit for them, or maybe it did, maybe it didn't. I don't know where the whole thing fits in. But moving forward with the record already in place now, and Ovechkin turning 40 or is 40? Sammy?
I don't think
Is
he's
he 40?
I don't think he's 40 yet.
He's turning 40.
He is going to turn 40 years old on September 17th, fellas.
He is signed through 25, 26 at another $9.5 million hit. How long? And listen, he did not look good in the playoffs.
How much?
You look good against the crappy Habs, but not against Carolina.
No.
How much do you think he could make in a season in the KHL?
I don't think money's a factor here, to be honest with you. So I think he goes home if he wants to go home because that's where his family is. That's where his heart is. We've known that for a long time. Do you want to do it later? Do you want to still think you can be part of a Stanley Cup in Washington? I think there's times when he really looks his age. And is that a spot better for a younger player that can move forward with some of the young players in Washington?
You see a world where he comes back in like January or something, just like gets a whole bunch of rest and tries to take another run at it.
Because he is who he is, it's just he's got to be so good in his game for him to come back and then create all that attention. And the one thing that I was really worried about this season going in is whether it was going to turn the Washington Capitals into the Ovechkin Capitals.
Yeah.
And to Carberry's credit and the rest of the coaching staff and the players, they found a way to get him or help him, cross the finish line with the record and not lose the focus of team and having a great season, which they did. They had an amazing season, disappointing second round, but an amazing season on a historic moment.
Way better than any of us thought they'd be this
For sure.
Not me. I thought they couldn't do both.
Yeah.
Couldn't have a great team season and get this guy the record at the same time. One was going to overwhelm the other, and it didn't, to their credit, but I don't know, maybe it caught up to them at the end.
So let me ask you something, because I think it does put the Caps in a bit of an awkward spot. Let's say he comes back, he's not good. The puck's not going in at the same rate. He's a 20-goal guy next year, and that's the only thing he's doing. Like, let's say it's not pretty. You don't want to have to put your superstar Hall of Famer on the third line, you don't want to
hide him.
You don't want to make it awkward sort of thing. Why are we having this conversation? Have you heard something?
I have not.
This is just pure.
No, this is Well, you guys always look at me like I got something cooking.
Kipper, because you spend
it's a weird day to be like.
you spend
but I
4
guess
hours.
he did just
You spend
fill in
4
the-
hours a day on the phone with
Yeah.
undisclosed
And
people.
then
I
comes
think
like,
sometimes,
just Trump pulls it. What if he went back to Russia?
sometimes I think you know things.
I just want to get your opinion on if
He's checked every career box in North America.
Like what's left?
Cup.
What is left?
All-time
The only thing
goals.
left is
Check,
he
check.
thinks he can win another Stanley Cup next year. That's why he's back to fulfill his contract and say, I can still be a part of it, but can he be as a number one guy and still find a way to score 30 goals again? What did he finish with this year?
44.
44. Like that's still
in 65 games, boys.
Yeah, it's a
he's
great
coming
number,
back. He's
right?
3 goals away from 900.
Yeah, that's a thing too. Maybe
Is he
No one's ever
motivated on
scored
that?
900. I don't know, but I've thought it myself that it's like, okay, he's kind of checked every box. Will he just want to be in Russia? Like he's got a lot of family and all that. I don't know. That'll be something to keep an eye on.
Okay, that's it.
Okay. Did you guys want to talk about? We mentioned it a little bit with Doug, but we didn't talk about it. Benn greasing Scheifele. Anything to say?
I just don't think. I think it's a bad play, and he's a cheap guy. I shouldn't say cheap guy, but he throws some cheap shots.
Okay,
but fine.
Let me start by asking you this: was that a sucker punch or not?
I mean, Scheifele is aware that he's mad at him.
He's looking at him. You're like
It's a
it's
bomb of a punch.
Yeah.
He lands that baby.
But a sucker punch to me is one you
Don't know it's coming.
don't know it's coming. You're facing him. You're arguing with him. You're in a heated battle with him, and he snuck one in on you.
All right, it's a fine though. I'm fine. I'm fine with the fine. I don't care.
I told you. I pay it on the spot.
That's actually
let me punch this guy, and here's your $5,000.
Pete DeBoer actually had the comments that I think Jamie can afford it. He's not too stressed out about the fine. It's a non-thing
Yes.
more than anything.
Yeah.
We had a friend visiting from Long Island, one of my wife's girlfriends, a couple of weeks ago, and she was watching Jamie Benn had just like suckered someone on whoever they played in the opening round. I can't remember anything. Colorado. And they showed his like career highlight reel of violent plays. Remember the was it on Mark Stone where he cross-checks his head into
Mark
the ice?
Stone and didn't he do something to Zach Hyman
Either
too?
way, we watched this like reel of this guy, and she was shocked that he is allowed to continue to play the sport. She was like, he needs therapy. He needs she couldn't believe what hockey was. She just was appalled. And I had never thought about it in that way as a hockey guy. Like, everyone loves that. He's nasty. That's a plus.
This is like the first time she's been exposed to hockey.
I
or
guess
like,
just a reel of one person being intentionally violent. That one was assault. You think about the one against Vegas.
She should watch HGTV. There's no violence, just the hammer hitting a nail. That's it.
I actually there's a show on that channel I used to love where they would like go.
The NHL? I think it used to be on the Outdoor Life Network.
There was they were like House Hunters International, and they would like these two people would go off to a different part of the world, and they would
Buy a
like
house on
and
some random
they would go
island.
like to like 3 different houses. And then they're like, real estate agent would be like, which one do you want to pick? And they would do it, and they would pick, and it'd be great. And they would just start another episode right away. Boy, I spent a lot of time. I spent a lot of time watching that.
Living in Toronto watching that. 'Cause
Sammy,
they'd be like 4-bedroom house on an island for $100,000.
If the Leafs lose tonight, I can get you on that show.
I'll send Mitch Marner on to House Hunters International if they lose tonight.
He'll have some real estate to look at around the globe.
Other quick note. Ekholm will not play for the first 2 games of the West Final, according to Chris Knopfler.
But they're getting it pretty dialed into days now.
He's getting close.
Yeah.
All right, what do you want to do with a couple of comments here, Sammy?
Well,
do we want text or do we want calls?
I mean, the Leafs are the only show in town. We haven't exposed our national audience to this before, so they're about to.
Okay.
So I can't really remember all these ones, so that's always a good place to start.
Yeah, anything for the Leafs.
Let's go to Mark in Etobicoke.
I saw Sammy's Instagram post asking if we had any hope left. Short answer is I think that I do, but I found this really great quote that I think sums up our feelings nicely. It's from a poet called Friedrich Schiller, and it reads, "Hope is the worst of all evils because it prolongs the torment of men." It's a quote that reminds us that hope can sometimes lead to prolonged disappointment, which it seems like is about 9 years in the making. But having said that, I think I'll feel hopeful till about 4 o'clock, maybe 5 o'clock today. Still a bit of hope left, boys. Have a great show. Go Leafs, go.
Boy, that is some Shakespearean twist on "Hope is what kills you" or whatever the Ted Lasso version is. That's bleak.
Welcome to the Leafs Line, national audience.
Tune into the first hour for more of the same.
I had a friend quote a Tom Cruise line from Cocktail.
Okay, which was actually filmed at the Don Jail.
Everything ends badly, otherwise it wouldn't end.
Jeez. Let's go to Max from Toronto.
Great, boys. You don't win a game 7 without losing at least 3. You know, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Fool me, I don't know, a dozen times, and listen, I'm just a glutton for punishment. Go Leafs, go. They're going to take Game 6 tonight. They're bringing it home to Toronto for Game 7. They are absolutely going to take it to the Cats. Berube said, we're going to be better. Well, I mean, yeah, I don't think you boys could be worse. That was atrocious. We got to flush it, but at the same time, be motivated not to get embarrassed and poop our pants again there. Go Leafs, go. Let's take this thing in Florida tonight and bring it home to Toronto for Game 7. Let's go, boys.
You just hate a Leafs fan saying, I don't think you could be worse. It
could always be worse.
Yeah, buddy. You think you hit rock bottom. They got a backhoe.
This is the worst day of your life. Worst day of your life yet.
Yeah, this is the Homer line?
Yeah.
It's the first day of your life so far.
So far, that's what it is. Thank you. I screwed up the line. Let's go to Sarah from Wyoming.
Hi, Sammy. Hi, Kyper. Hi, Borny. Fellow mud boy here, except I'm a girl, and the Leafs consume my ever-loving thought, except I don't get paid for it like you guys do. But calling all the way from Wyoming, USA. I'm born and raised in the Toronto area and have been tortured by this hockey team for my entire life. My dad apologizes for bringing me into this world every April and May, but I have a good feeling. I think we're going to play the Florida Demon tonight, drag them back to Toronto for a Game 7, go to overtime, and finally win a Game 7 overtime. So that's my prediction. Thanks so much. Go Leafs, go.
She's got the script.
Make them pack. Make them pack.
I hear Wyoming is fantastic.
Yes. Awesome.
I've never been, but I've heard it's a great place for some golf too.
Gosh,
That's what
are
I've
you
heard.
kidding me? With that backdrop?
And
what I've
she's
heard.
consumed by Leaf thoughts. That's
The
a
Mud
cruel
Boys-
injustice. You deserve that.
All right, we might as well. Let's just get Michelle and Barry. Michelle and
As a
Barry.
lifelong devotee of the Toronto Maple Leafs, over 5 decades and counting, my passion for the team runs deep. While I found myself disheartened by the lackluster effort in their most recent performance, I watched until the final whistle, searching for even the faintest glimmer of momentum that might carry forward into tonight's crucial games. Each season, I begin with a sense of renewed faith that this could be the year, that the potential we have glimpsed will finally be realized. My hope tonight is simple yet fundamental, that the Leafs return to playing their own game rather than getting drawn into Florida's style of play. Success will come by crashing the net, pouncing on second chance opportunities, and critically maintaining discipline by staying out of the penalty box.
Yes, Michelle.
Perhaps the Panthers, emboldened by recent victories, will come in overconfident. If so, it's an opportunity the Leafs must seize. I've never been one to boo my team. My support is unwavering, but I am, as those close to me often remind me, emotionally invested to an intense degree during all of the games. Tonight, as always, go Leafs, go.
There you go, Sammy.
And was she being deputized?
You can't ask for anything more.
Let's go, Michelle.
Thank you for listening to my prepared statement. I'll have no further answers or questions to be taken. That was great.
The
you
only,
knew what you wanted to say, delivered it.
It is the only show going on Sportsnet coast to coast. The Toronto Maple Leafs, the Florida Panthers, Game 6, 8 p.m. Eastern, Sportsnet, and the CBC. Enjoy it. It's been a good week. I need the weekend to recuperate.
Good.
Hey, big shout out to my cousin Nick, who's at Jacob's Steakhouse watching us. Give him a little wave.
Is it,
Can I have
is it Nicholas? What
Nick,
is it?
Nico.
Can I have a
Nico.
bite of your steak, Nico?
All right. Enjoy the game tonight. We'll find out if there's another one on Sunday. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. You get a chance, give us a rating and review. We'd love to hear from you. Have a great weekend, everybody.